if you're just joining us here, was just arrested and taken into federal custody in New York tonight. Sources tell TMZ Homeland Security swooped into a Midtown hotel late Monday where Diddy was staying, and they arrested.
Imagine working in the shadows of one of the most notorious prisons in the country, a place where whispers linger in the halls and secrets hide behind every locked door. Now picture what happens when one of the world's biggest music moguls, Diddy, a man who once rules the entertainment industry with unmatched flair, is suddenly thrown into this grim world. Sounds like something straight out of a Hollywood script, right? But this is real life, or at least that's what the anonymous accounts from inside the Metropolitan Detention Center are claiming, and trust me, these stories are as wild as the man himself.
He will be sued. And I say will be because nothing has been filed yet, by at least 120 people in the next
civil lawsuit. Cassie said that she was the victim of abuse, assault, and at the hands of Diddy.
What makes this tale even more intriguing is how it begins. Diddy's arrest wasn't just a shock to the public, it sent waves through the prison system itself. Why? Because this wasn't your average case of a celebrity facing a rough patch. No, this was something far darker. Diddy's charges were grave, and the courtroom drama surrounding him made headlines for months. But when he was denied bail not once but 3 times, people quickly realized this wasn't going to end with some cushy house arrest in a Miami mansion. Instead, Diddy found himself in Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center, a place infamous for its harsh conditions and eerie reputation, and while most inmates crumble under the weight of such a transition, Diddy reportedly walked into the facility like he owned the place.
And, it brings into context our whole system of innocent until proven guilty. Why is he not being given bond? And, we can debate that all day long. Of all people that's unlikely to flee or get away, he's got the resources to flee, but he's so recognizable, and isn't he innocent until proven guilty?
But that's where things start to get strange. An anonymous prison guard who has since left the job out of fear for their safety has come forward with chilling details about what life was like with Diddy behind bars. According to this whistleblower, Diddy wasn't just another inmate from the moment he arrived. It was clear he was being treated differently, almost like royalty. Rumors began swirling among the staff. Why was he here? Why wasn't he shipped off to a federal facility like other high-profile figures? The guard claims even the warden seemed uneasy, issuing strict orders to avoid asking questions and to follow protocol to the letter. But as anyone who's worked in a prison knows, secrets don't stay buried for long. The first thing that raised eyebrows was the food. While the other inmates were stuck with the usual bland, barely edible meals, Diddy's dinners reportedly came straight out of a 5-star restaurant. Gourmet dishes, think roasted chicken, fresh vegetables, even desserts were wheeled in on a cart every evening. And it wasn't just the food. Over time, more and more personal items showed up in his cell: designer clothes, expensive headphones, a leather-bound journal with gold initials. Not exactly standard issue for someone doing hard time, right? But it gets weirder. The guard alleges that Diddy's visitor list was like a revolving door of the rich and powerful. Late at night, long after visiting hours were supposed to be over, high-profile guests would arrive. These weren't your typical prison visitors. They came in suits. Some of these names were instantly recognizable public figures, business mogul, even people from Diddy's former circle. What were they discussing? No one knows for sure, but the guard claims that every visit left the staff on edge, as though something much bigger was happening behind closed doors.
Money he has and all the resources he has, he couldn't craft some solution that lets him be under some form of house arrest. And again, it sounds like special treatment, but the truth of the matter is, to incarcerate somebody like him is expensive to all of us. We're taxpayers, and he's got to have unique situations. You can't put him in general population where, everyone wants a piece of him and everyone wants to be his friend and everyone.
And then there were the glitches. According to the guard, the security cameras in Diddy's block would flicker and distort at the same times every night, usually around 1 a.m. and again at 3 a.m. The footage would warp, freeze, or go completely dark before returning to normal. When the guard brought this up to the tech team, they brushed it off as outdated equipment. But after weeks of the same pattern, it became clear this wasn't just a coincidence. Not long afterwards, Carolyn complained it was deliberate. Someone or something was manipulating the feed, and during these blackouts, that's when the whisper started. The guard describes hearing faint voices, almost like murmurs, late at night while patrolling the block. At first they thought it was just their imagination, but the whispers grew louder, distinct enough to recognize laughter and fragments of words. Yet when they checked the cells, everything seemed normal. Diddy, for his part, didn't seem the least bit fazed. If anything, he appeared amused, as though he knew more than he was letting on.
Real quickly, all that commissary stuff, he's not getting any of that because people in the shoe have an abbreviated list. So he's out of luck. No stake for him. Yeah, he is on watch. This guy thought he would have went home. All of a sudden, he didn't get bond. Remember, the first night he was there.
It wasn't long before the guards' curiosity got the better of them. During one of Diddy's recreational hours, they snuck into his cell hoping to find answers. What they discovered only deep into the mystery hidden beneath his mattress was a piece of paper covered in strange symbols. Nothing that resembled any language the guard recognized. Alongside it, a note scrawled in hurried handwriting read, "Watchers silence loyalty." Behind a loose brick in the wall they found more a crude drawing of an eye surrounded by flames and a list of names, some of which matched the guests who had visited Diddy late at night. This was the breaking point. The guard resigned shortly after, terrified of what might happen if they stayed, but even after leaving, they couldn't escape the feeling of being watched. Anonymous calls, unfamiliar cars parked outside their home. It was clear someone was keeping tabs on them. Despite the risks, they decided to share their story, hoping to shed light on whatever was happening behind the walls of the Metropolitan Detention Center.
Courthouse in Lower Manhattan, the judge ordering the prosecution to turn over its findings from a jail cell raid, Diddy's jail cell, just yesterday. What were the contents of those raids?
Well, apparently, according to the defense, they're legal documents. The government's saying no. On the contrary, they're just some handwritten notes and a calendar.
So what exactly is going on here? Why is a man like Diddy receiving such unusual treatment, and what did the guard uncover that made them fear for their life? As the pieces of this puzzle come together, one thing is clear: this story is far from over. Could it be that Diddy's influence stretches far beyond the music industry? Or is something even more sinister at play? Now let's take a step back to understand that the mountain Diddy is trying to climb. The charges against him are nothing short of explosive allegations that span years, involving behavior that has shocked even his most devoted fans. While Diddy has pleaded not guilty, the details that have emerged paint a picture of someone deeply entangled in a web of control, manipulation and power plays. And if you think this is just about courtroom drama, think again. Diddy's legal battles are as much about optics as they are about the law. He's fighting for his life in more ways than one. Diddy's first major legal hurdle came in the form of a lawsuit filed by his ex Cassie Ventura in November of 2023. Cassie's claims were nothing short of jaw-dropping, alleging a decade-long cycle of control and abuse during their on-again off-again relationship. According to her lawsuit, she described being held in a situation where she felt she had no way out. But here's where things get even more intriguing. The case was settled just one day after it was filed. No trial, no public dispute, just a quiet agreement to their mutual satisfaction. While some saw this as Diddy trying to put the issue to rest quickly, others couldn't help but speculate. What was he trying to keep out of the public eye? After all, settling a case doesn't mean innocence. It just means you're willing to pay or agree to make the problem go away.
Has finally spoken out amidst everything that is happening right now. Janice Small Combs provided a statement to some outlets via her attorney. So she starts off by saying it's very heartbreaking to see her son judged not for the truth, but for a narrative created out of.
But if Diddy thought putting Cassie's claims behind him would calm the waters, he couldn't have been more wrong. Just days after that settlement, 2 more women came forward with their own lawsuits. They accused him of similar behavior, detailing incidents that allegedly occurred decades ago. One of these cases involved a woman who claims she was mistreated by Diddy and his associates while she was still in college. The timing of these lawsuits wasn't random. They were filed under New York's Adult Survivors Act, which temporarily lifted the statute of limitations to allow victims to seek justice for incidents that happened long ago. What's interesting, though, is how Diddy's legal team has handled these claims. They've consistently denied every accusation, calling them fabricated and a blatant money grab. His lawyers have been vocal, arguing that these allegations are nothing more than attempts to exploit his fame and fortune. And while that's a narrative that might work in some cases, the sheer volume of accusations makes it harder to dismiss. The court of public opinion doesn't wait for verdicts. In the eyes of many, where there's smoke there's fire, and for Diddy, the flames are threatening to burn everything he's ever built.
The truth, so hopefully we can get down to the bottom of this. I'm 100%, the charges against me are 100% false. Hopefully due to time we'll stop.
But let's talk about his defense strategy, because this is where things get really interesting. Diddy's legal team isn't just playing defense, they're going on the attack. His lawyers have filed motions to dismiss some of the lawsuits outright, claiming there's no credible evidence to support the allegations. They've also pointed out inconsistencies in the timelines, and argued that the claims are too old to be proven. This isn't just about winning in court. It's about creating doubt in the minds of The public, if they can convince people that these accusations are exaggerated or outright false, they can at least salvage some of Diddy's reputation. Then there's the question of witnesses. Reports suggest that Diddy's team has been working overtime to secure statements from individuals who can vouch for his character or provide alternative accounts of the events in question. But this has raised another issue: the possibility of witness tampering. When Diddy was denied bail for the third time, the judge cited concerns about his influence and the potential for him to interfere with witnesses. This is a man who for years has been surrounded by people who owe their livelihoods to him. If he wanted to sway someone's testimony, would they even have the option to say no?
I'm not surprised by the ruling because, as she cited in her order, there are very serious allegations about the danger that he potentially poses to other witnesses and the public at large. There are allegations that he has, been violent with others. He's also attempted to allegedly intimidate other witnesses and still contact witnesses while in court.
What's even more unsettling is the rumor that some of these potential witnesses have already disappeared from public view. Insiders close to the case claim that a few individuals who were once vocal about their knowledge of Diddy's alleged behavior have suddenly gone silent. While there's no concrete evidence to suggest foul play, that timing is suspicious enough to raise eyebrows. One legal analyst speculated on a recent podcast that this could be the result of behind-the-scenes negotiations, where loyalty is bought, not earned. Whether it's fear or financial incentives keeping them quiet, the absence of these voices is creating even more intrigue around the case. Adding to the drama is the alleged involvement of private investigators hired by Diddy's legal team. According to unverified reports, these investigators have been digging into the lives of the accusers, looking for anything that could discredit their claims, from financial records to former relationships. It seems no stone is being left unturned. Critics argue that this tactic, though legal, crosses an ethical line, especially when it comes to cases involving such sensitive allegations. But for Diddy, who's fighting not just for his freedom but also for his legacy, this aggressive approach might be his only shot.
Say that again. Back up. You're saying that there's tapes and they're being shopped?
Yes, there have been people already shopping.
We've heard about the tape.
Yes.
The shopping thing is...
Yes, there already have been tapes leaking around Hollywood, being shopped around individuals in Hollywood. But one particular person contacted me to shop a particular video they were in.
And yet, even with these bold moves, cracks are starting to show. Legal experts have pointed out that Diddy's team is walking a very fine line. If they push too hard, they risk alienating the jury and the public. It's a gamble, one attorney commented during a recent interview. On one hand, you want to protect your client's interests. On the other, you don't want to come across as bullying or overly aggressive, especially in a case that's already so emotionally charged. This balancing act adds yet another layer of complexity to a trial that's shaping up to be one of the most watched in recent memory. And let's not forget the legal firepower he's brought to the table. Diddy's lawyers aren't just any lawyers. They're some of the best in the business, known for representing high-profile clients in cases where the stakes couldn't be higher. One of his lead attorneys, Mark Angelo, has a reputation for being ruthless in court. He's the kind of lawyer who doesn't just play by the rules, he bends them to his advantage. In a recent statement, AGN claimed that Diddy was focused, strong, and ready to fight. But how much of that is true, and how much is just smoke and mirrors? After all, the man sitting in a prison cell today isn't the same one who used to dominate red carpets and award shows.
Occur, their argument is more than likely going to be that this activity was consensual, that this person was a willing participant, that these individuals assumed the risk of being present at those parties, voluntarily engaging in conduct and being in those spaces.
Speaking of his time in prison, let's dive into how Diddy is handling life behind bars. The guard from the Metropolitan Detention Center may have hinted at special treatment, but let's be real, no amount of gourmet meals or luxury headphones can replace the freedom Diddy once enjoyed, and he knows it. Insiders claim that he's been working out religiously, trying to stay in shape both physically and mentally. But there are also reports that he's struggling. His most recent court appearance stunned onlookers, with many commenting on how much thinner and older he looked. Elizabeth Milner, a reporter for Law and Crime Network, described his transformation as astonishing, noting the stark contrast between his glamorous pre-arrest lifestyle and his current reality. And while Diddy's legal team insists he's in good spirits, the whispers from inside the prison tell a different story. There are rumors that he's growing increasingly paranoid, convinced that someone in his circle betrayed him. This paranoia isn't just affecting his mood, it's influencing his legal strategy. Some sources claim that Diddy has instructed his lawyers to dig into the backgrounds of his accusers looking for anything that could discredit them, but this approach is risky. If it backfires, it could make him look even guiltier in the eyes of the public.
Kind of crazy, like I said before, they said that 2,300 people reached out to the law firm, and out of the 2,300 people, I guess they decided to go with just a little over 100, which seems like it's they just put out the number and everybody's calling to see if they can get a check.
It's insane. It's insane. Now, again, he did say that nothing has been filed yet because he says he wants to make sure that they do their due diligence and get this.
So what's next for Sha Diddy Combs? His trial is set to begin in May 2025, and if convicted he could be facing decades behind bars. But even if he manages to avoid a guilty verdict, the damage to his reputation may be irreversible. This isn't just about legal consequences. It's about legacy for a man who built his empire on the idea of being untouchable. Diddy is now facing a reality where everything he's worked for could come crashing down. But here's the million-dollar question: is Diddy the mastermind behind the chaos, or is he a man at the mercy of forces beyond his control? Could his downfall be the result of his own actions, or is he being targeted by people who see him as an easy scapegoat? The truth as always lies somewhere in the middle, but one thing is certain: this story is far from over. As the trial date looms closer, the world will be watching, waiting to see whether Diddy can rise from the ashes, or whether this is the final chapter in a career that once seemed unstoppable. Whatever the outcome, one thing's for sure: the story of Sha Diddy Combs is a cautionary tale for anyone who believes they're too powerful to fall. As the saga of Diddy unfolds, viewers are left with more questions than answers. Could Diddy's influence truly extend beyond the music industry into something far more sinister? And what about the guards' chilling revelations? Are they a glimpse into a darker truth, or merely the product of fear and paranoia? The comment section is open and the audience is encouraged to share their thoughts. What do you think is really happening behind the walls of the Metropolitan Detention Center? Could Diddy's downfall be a result of his own actions, or is he being targeted by unseen forces? Leave your theories and opinions below, and let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, stay curious and keep watching.